William Butler Yeats was born on June 13, 1865, to parents John Butler Yeats, a famous portrait painter, and Susan Mary Pollexfen, a daughter of a wealthy merchant family. William Butler Yeats had a strong Irish upbringing and went to the Metropolitan School of Art in Dublin, Ireland. Yeats was widely considered to be one of the greatest poets of the 20th century. Although Yeats was more remembered as a poet, he was also a playwright. He wrote 6 plays, and along with Lady Gregory in the late 1800s, he helped to found the Irish Theatre, which was later known as the Abbey, which opened on the 27th of December in 1904. The Stolen Child is considered to be one of his more notable early poems. The poem is based on Irish legend and concerns fairies begilding a child to come away with them. Here he is using Irish folklore and possibly dreams to write about his poetry. Yeats was widely considered to be one of the greatest poets of the 20th centuries. His first works were written at the age of 17, one of which was a poem about a magician named Percy Shelley. He seemed to write often of dreams and Irish folklore. W.B. Yeats and Lady Gregory's play Kathleen Nee Houlihan was featured on opening night in the Abbey in 1904. It was written about the rebellion in Ireland in 1798. It was symbolic and nationalistic because it used Kathleen Nee Houlihan to symbolize the free Irish state that should be defended by the young men of Ireland in battle. In 1889, Yeats would meet the woman who would become his muse for most of his life. Yeats developed an obsessive infatuation with her beauty and outspoken manner that would have a lasting effect on his poetry and life. They wouldn't consummate their relationship until 9 years later, which completely changed how he viewed Maud Gonne. When looking back on their night together, he wrote, "The tragedy of sexual intercourse is the perpetual virginity of the soul." The two would part ways a year later, but it was at this time that he would be quoted as saying, "The troubles of my life began." When You Are Old was written to tell of the love he carried all the years of his life for Maud. How many loved your moments of glad grace and loved your beauty with love false or true, but one man loved the pilgrim soul in you and loved the sorrows of your changing face. William Butler Yeats enjoyed using traditional form of poetry rather than free verse, which is what most modernists used during that time. Free verse didn't follow any type of format, such as traditional following a format where you would usually rhyme. The play at the Hawk's Well was abstract, symbolic, and ritualistic. This type of play was very uncommon at that time. Yeats also deplored bigotry and hatred of the nationalist movement, and his poetry is full of moving protests against it. In 1910, W.B. Yeats' art took a sharp turn towards highly poetic, static, and esoteric style. An Irish airman foresees his death is one of these poems. The Wild Swans at Coole was a collection of poems by Yeats that was published in 1919. It contained 29 poems that represent the middle stage of Yeats' writing and is concerned with Irish nationalism and the creation of an Irish aesthetic. W.B. Yeats would be quoting as saying, "To be born woman is to know, although they do not speak of it at school, women must labor to be beautiful. And also, happiness is neither virtue nor pleasure, nor this thing, nor that, but simply growth. We are happy when we are growing." A year after the fifth time that Yeats had proposed to Maud Gonne, he would meet and marry Georgie Hyde Lees in 1917. The two would go on to have two children, a daughter Anne and a son Michael. The marriage between the two would be considered to be a success, despite the fact that he would have romantic relationships with other women and all along continuing to harbor the obsession with Maud Gonne. The last years of W.B. Yeats' life, his works in poetry and plays would have a more personal content, like that of the life of his son and daughter and what he experienced growing old. Hindu theosophical beliefs in the occult also influenced a lot of his late poetry. Yeats was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature for his dramatic works in 1923. Most of his greatest works were written after being awarded the Nobel Prize. He would go on to be more well known after being actually awarded the Nobel Prize. Yeats was once quoted saying, "Come, fairies, take me out of this dull world, for I would ride with you upon the wind and dance upon the mountains like a flame." He was also quoted saying, "The innocent and the beautiful have no enemy but time." William Butler Yeats was a great poet who would live on through his poetry after his death at the age of 74 on January 28, 1939. He would die of old age.